My special guest today is a Texas musician, journalist, and radio host. It's my pleasure to welcome to the show Mr. Jim Beal. Mr. Beal, how are you?
I'm doing well, Joe. How about you?
Okay. Jim, this is an honor for me to be on this side of the fence. You've been kind enough in the past to have me as a guest a couple of times on your KSYM radio show, as well as giving me some press in your music column in the San Antonio Express News. So thank you for joining us today.
Sure, but it's always better when you're on my show because you actually come on and play songs. You know, I'm just here.
Well, we're going to play some of your stuff today. We're going to play some tracks today.
That's good. I appreciate that. No, it's an honor to be here, and shout out to everybody listening on Expat Radio.
Jim, you were born in Brownsville, Texas, as was Chris Christopherson, right?
That's it. Yes, the southmost tip of Texas.
Tell us about your early life in Texas.
Oh, my dad worked for the phone company, so we and he spoke Spanish, so we lived all over the border. You know, I think I went to like 20 different schools by the time I graduated from high school. You know, so just all around South Texas. You know, it was a interesting upbringing. I used to think my parents moved just for fun. Sometimes I thought, you know. They would move across the street. So it was like, you know, a lot of hauling furniture, different houses, you know, but it was fun. You know, you got to, you know, I really, there are two places I feel comfortable, South Texas and South Louisiana, and that's about it.
What age did you become a musician?
Well, you know, I think I was influenced like a lot of people. I'm 70 years old now, and a lot of people of my generation influenced by what they saw on Ed Sullivan TV show, you know, Elvis Presley, the Beatles, and on and on. So I think I was probably in junior high when I first fell in with some like-minded people and, you know, started trying to, you know, started playing in bands.
But you started off on the keyboards first, right? Before you moved to bass.
Yeah, and I like to tell the story. Yeah, I started off playing an ace tone organ, and then when the Doors released "Light My Fire," I said, "Nope. I'll never practice enough to learn that keyboard part." So I tried guitar for a while and wasn't good at it, and then I realized, you know, I was introduced to the bass. I said, "Man, fat strings and only 4 of them. I think I can do this." So, you know, I do it, you know, moderate, you know, I'm okay at it. You know, I don't.
So it was high school you started playing in bands?
It was kind of, junior high. I think I'm probably about 8th grade and then 9th grade and then into high school.
The Miss Neesie EARFOOD Orchestra is your band here in Texas with your wonderful wife on vocals. She's got a great voice. When did you put this band together?
I think that band's been together a little more than 30 years, but
wow,
that,
how long?
It's been a long time, and it's, you know, it's pretty much strictly local band when we've traveled some around South Texas, you know, gigged. We were big in Port Aransas for a while, which is a coast town on the Gulf Coast, and we had a pretty good following there. But it's you know, it's kind of a rough road to hoe because everybody in the band actually had you know, day jobs. They were smart enough. You know, we had 2 school teachers, an architect, electrical engineer, and, you know, everybody's retired now except the guitar player who's an electrical engineer. So and he's the youngest guy in the band. He's only in his early 60s, I think. So, but it's been a fun thing. And when you do it kind of part-time, or, you know, we do it as a serious hobby. The guy that plays keyboard and accordion in our band, a guy named Ronnie Beater, who was an architect. You know, somebody asked him, somebody that he worked with said, you know, you rehearse it every week and you play these gigs. And he said, doesn't that take a lot of time? And he said, I don't play golf. And, you know, and I thought, well, that's, you know, we're serious. We try to be as good as we can. We know we take the music seriously, but we don't, you know, it's like, you know, at our age, we never were going to jump in the van, you know, sleep 5, 6, 7, 8 people to a motel room, like I've seen other guys do, through the years. That's a kid's game.
So you met Neesie, your wife, you met her in high school?
I met her in high school, yeah. I think our first date, people always ask. We've been married, we got married in 1974, and 40 plus years, and somebody said, well, what's the secret to your marriage? I said, well, our first date, we went to see Townes Van Zandt, the great Texas, the late great Texas songwriter and troubadour. And I said, well, and that pretty, we went to see the movie Wait Until Dark, and then went to see Townes Van Zandt. So it's like pretty much set in concrete right there.
Cool. Well, you know what? We're going to play a track and then come back to the interview.
All right.
This is Nobody's Fault, Miss Neesie, the EARFOOD Orchestra.
Nobody's fault but mine. Nobody's fault but mine. Said if I die and my soul be lost, it's nobody's fault but mine. My mama taught me how to read. My mama taught me to read the word. If I die and my soul be lost, it's nobody's fault but mine. Nobody's fault but mine.
Nobody's fault.
Yeah, nobody's fault but mine. If I die and my soul be lost, it's nobody's fault but mine. My mama taught me how to pray. My mama taught me how to pray. If I die and my soul be lost, nobody's fault but mine. I'm nobody's fault but mine.
Nobody's
I'm nobody's fault but mine. If I die and my soul be lost, there's nobody's fault but mine. Yeah, my mama taught me how to pray. Yeah, my mama, she taught me how to pray. If I die and my soul be lost, it's nobody's fault but mine. Yeah, it's nobody's fault but mine. Oh, it's nobody's fault but mine. If I die and my soul be lost, it's nobody's fault but mine.
Great track. I love your wife's voice, Jim. Fantastic voice.
She can belt it out.
She's bluesy.
That's a years of listening to a combination of Joan Baez and Coco Taylor. The one she sings most like is Coco Taylor.
That track, what is that track there? Nobody's Fault. Is it a cover?
I think we got that one off of Sister Rosetta Tharpe album. It's a gospel classic. I don't know who wrote it, but it's a classic gospel. And we do that's from an album called Gloria Chords, which is a gospel album. We play with that band. We play blues, zydeco, a little bit of Cajun, gospel, rock and roll. Been doing a gospel brunch for years. I don't know, 10, 15 years around here. And now we're doing, we do like once a month, and the gospel, all the money we collect, we don't make any money off of that. It all goes to benefit charities, predominantly a child development center, St. Paul Lutheran Child Development Center here in San Antonio that Neesie's on the board of directors of. And it's and since the pandemic, though, now we've changed it to a sin and redemption. So every other song is a gospel song, and every song that's not a gospel song is a song about sin. So
the reason I asked you about the song is because I've seen your band many times, and I can never tell if it's an original or it's not, because you take these obscure songs and you just make them your own. So I can never tell, you're not the obvious, if you know what I'm saying. You're going to see a lot of bands, a lot of the people doing the same set.
Right.
Wherever you go.
We used to have a thing like, no, we play hits, but we don't play anything from this century. So at one point it was like, oh yeah, this song was a hit, like Nobody's Fault. Yeah, that was a gospel hit probably in about 1944. It was,
right.
It was a hit, somewhere. But yeah, and that's kind of it's the beauty of a band. If you insist on getting paid, but you don't insist on using that gig to put beans on the table. It's like you can play what you want to play, and we always say we take requests if it's one of the songs that we know. Yeah, we'll play that. But we don't, there are bands that specialize in the hits, good and well, when you're at Waxy O'Connor's and you're at the crossroads of the world and you never can tell who's going to want to hear what, I don't know how many songs but.
Yeah, it's always a challenge.
And it's, if you're playing for a wedding band or you're a top 40 cover band, that's a whole different level of responsibility. I don't knock that, it's just that when we get together, we still try to rehearse once a week. When we get together to rehearse, you never can tell what somebody's going to pull out. It could be an original song, it could be a blues song, it could be a Zydeco song, gospel.
Jim, you were in the military, and it was after you left the army that you studied journalism.
Correct. I wasn't a very good student, until even after I got out of the Army, I wasn't a very good student, but I needed an elective. I was going to community college here, San Antonio College. It was a great community college. I needed an elective, and I always read newspapers, and I always wasn't scared of book reports. So I took journalism as an elective, and San Antonio College has a great journalism program, and as well as a great radio, television, and film program. So, and it was just like, oh, this was fun, and it ended up it was more like a job, Thank God I had the GI Bill, because, it was like, I probably was in the journalism rooms like 40 hours a week, for a 3-hour class.
When did you land the job at the San Antonio Express News?
Well, I freelanced with various publications around, and in the Express News, it decided they needed wanted to hire somebody to write about music, and I was working, writing for a local entertainment paper called Action Magazine, which was run by a guy named Sam Kendrick, who a couple of years ago, he got sick and he retired the paper, but it was a real kind of outrageous, outspoken paper, and I was writing for them, and then I got the offer to freelance, for the Express News, and did that for a few years, and then they offered me a full-time job, and I said, yeah, I'd like some health insurance, so I did that for 20 plus years, I guess.
Okay, let's play another track. As well as having the full band with the horn section, you also have the Miss Neesie Tin Can Trio. We're going to play a live track, but talk us through the song first. This is Cocaine Bill and Morphine Sue.
Now, this is a very interesting song. I don't really know where this song came from. Neesie, my wife, learned it from her mother,
Oh.
who was, somewhat of a rake and a rounder. She was from Baltimore. But if you look up this song on the internet, if you go to YouTube and look up Cocaine Bill and Morphine Sue, you're going to see people from various English-speaking countries doing this song. And there are some people in England who look like my mother-in-law did, gray beehive hair. And then there's old men, in their, at the time, probably in their 80s, and they're doing this song. And so, like I say, I've actually tried to find the history of this song, and it's, it's one of those, I think, that evolved, and there are various other songs not unlike this that were probably were intended to be cautionary tales, but ended up being like family ditties. Niesie said her mother would sing, kids would be in her lap and she'd be singing Cocaine Bill and Morphine Sue. It tells you a lot about the song and my mother-in-law.
Well, let's hear it. This is a live version.
Yeah,
Miss Neesie and the Tin Can Trio, Cocaine Bill and Morphine Sue.
Cocaine Bill and Morphine Sue were walking down the avenue. So honey, ever on me, honey, ever on me. They walked down Broadway into Maine just to get an ounce of old cocaine. So honey, ever on me, honey, ever on me. Now I don't know, but I've been told about a quarter pound of dope for a quarter pound of gold. So honey, ever on me, honey, ever on me. But too much dope went to their head. Now poor Sue and Bill are dead, so honey, ever on me, honey, ever on me. And in the graveyard on the hill lies the body of Cocaine Bill, so honey, ever on me, honey, ever on me. And in the graveyard by his side lies the body of his perfect bride, so honey, ever on me, honey, ever on me. And where they went to I can't tell, might have went to heaven or they might have went to. So honey, ever on me, honey, ever on me.
Cocaine Bill and Morphine Sue.
Yeah, you can tell from the audience that was recorded at a place called Ranger Creek Distillery. And we were in an alley behind there, and you could tell from the audience reaction. It was a hit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Was that here in San Antonio, that gig?
Yeah, that's here in San Antonio. Yeah, it was a CD release party for a compilation CD called Roots in the Shadows of San Antonio or something like that. It was a fun afternoon.
So when did you land the KSYM radio gig?
I started that. A good friend of mine, Joe X by God Horn, who's no longer in the radio business, but he was a real fan of Americana music, and we'd had some programming in San Antonio that on commercial radio stations that and it got the plug pulled on it. So Joe went back to school, went back to San Antonio College, went through the radio program that started this Sunday night show called Joe X by God Horn's world famous Texas radio show that evolved into the Third Coast Music Network. And it was on Sunday nights, and I would be his guest every now and then because we liked a lot of the same music, of course, mainly Texas music and the Gulf Coast music. And so I started being a guest on his show, and then the show went to 7 days a week, which it is now on 90.1 FM or tcmnradio.com, 4 to 7 p.m. daily. So I started doing the Thursday show there, and it was 20 plus years of doing that.
That's how long you've been doing that show?
That's a long time, and it's it's a testimony to the popularity of that particular show because, you know, a lot of shows on college radio come and go, but it's a testimony to the format and to the support, the community support during pledge drives and such. So, and of course, the pandemic's thrown a lot of this into disarray, but it's on every day, 4 to 7 p.m. Central Time.
You say you're not doing the show at the moment? You
I'm
haven't
not
gone
doing
back
the
yet?
show now. The studio is being, the show is still going on. It's been voice tracked,
Okay.
but the studio is being remodeled and I hope to get back to it as soon as we go back live. I'm not a big fan of voice tracking. So, you know, and I'm old. I mean, I guess I could learn it, but I like the immediacy, you know, of radio. You know, Joe Horn, who started this, he would say, you know, it's really live art, you know, and I kind of, in the same way, not unlike making music, you know, it's like there's an immediacy, there's a give and take with the audience, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, but at least you can act and react according to the feedback and whatever else is happening. You know, somebody's birthday, somebody dies, somebody did, you know, whatever you can. If it's raining, if there's a hurricane coming, something like, you know, it's all stuff that you can react to and that you can be a voice for. You know, not unlike like expat radio. Y'all are, you know, you're talking to people around the world, you know, and some of them you might have grown up with, some of them might just be homesick. You know? So, you know, that's kind of the way I just like the live thing.
Yeah, I don't think I told you, going back now, November 2019, I actually did a project at the San Antonio College. One of the students asked me, could he use my music as his project? And I took a guitar player in with me. Greg Galindo played on the Scouser album. And we played in the little studio there. We played like half an hour.
And they've got a, you know, it's a good, the program there is first class, you know, as far as the radio, the television, and the film. And they've produced a lot of people who went on to, you know, to be pros, you know, in various.
Yeah, the kid's name is Rudy Rubio, and it was his project for when he was graduating. And he's graduated now, but it was an honor to be asked, you know, and to do it, especially to play just my own music.
Yeah.
You know, we did it, and it came out. The video came out really well. I was happy with it.
And you got a video out of it.
Yeah, we got a video out of it as well. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of that. So those of you who are listening, if a student asks you to be part of the project, do it, because you never can tell. It could be the next Spielberg, or it could be the next Clive Davis. You know,
the guys did a great job. You know, the kids were on the camera. You had the kid in the studio mixing. The audio come out great. The video come out great. We did an interview too, and it was a good little project. Yeah, really good. Going to play another track here, Jim. This is, talk us through this one. It's another one with the full band. The Devil's in the Phone Booth.
That's a song. I honestly, I always tell this story. The Devil's in the phone booth dialing 911. Now, a lot of people don't even know what phone booths are anymore, but this was something I really don't know what I was looking at. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was on the internet looking for something, and I'm not sure what it was. You know, I don't remember now, but I ran across this song, and it turns out it was originally a clogging song. But all I saw first was the lyrics, and I looked at the lyrics and I said, "Man, that'd be great for a gospel song." And I didn't, like I say, I knew nothing about it, and I still don't know. That's another one of those songs like Cocaine Bill and Morphine too. I always try to find out who did this song originally so I can give credit.
Yeah,
but it some people have taken credit for it that I know didn't write the song, because the song is pretty, you know, been around a while, and it's been released various ways. And again, back to my mother-in-law, she called one day, "Hey, somebody on TV dancing to your song." And she held the phone up to the TV, and "Devil in the phone booth dialing 911, the devil in the phone booth dialing 911." And it was a group of people clog dancing to this song. So I thought, I have no idea, you know, so obviously when you listen to this, we don't do it as a clogging song.
Well, let's hear it. The Devil's in the Phone Booth. This is Miss Neesie, the EARFOOD Orchestra.
My whole life has changed since the Lord saved me. And I proclaim the mighty name of JC to everyone that I see. You know, the keys to the kingdom are the secret to success that lose the Holy Ghost from the Son. Now the devil's in the phone booth, dialing 911. Well, the church is on their knees, and they've loaded up their spiritual gun. The devil's in the phone booth, dialing 911. What in the world do you want? There's nothing there for me. Jesus saved me, sanctified me, and now the Holy Ghost has set me free from the things of the world that was looking mighty good. The devil lied and said they were fun. Now the devil's in the phone booth, dialing 911. Well, the devil, he thought he had us. But the tables are turned. Now he's on the run. The devil's in the phone booth, dialing 911.
This call may be monitored for purposes of quality control.
Dialing 911.
We are unable to complete your call. Please call back at a later date.
Dialing 911.
The number you are trying to reach is currently busy. Please try again.
Dialing 911.
customer service system. Please press 1 for God, 2 for Jesus, 3 for saints, and 4 for further assistance.
Dialing 911.
All our representatives are currently serving other customers. Please stay on the line and calls will be answered in the order in which they were received. Approximate waiting time, eternity.
Dialing 911. Dialing 911. Dialing 911.
What a version.
Yeah, it's not a clogging song. That's our drummer, Ollie the Animal Morris, doing the vocals on that, the lead vocals on that.
I was going to ask you that, actually, yeah. Is that Neesie doing the phone booth stuff?
Yeah, Neesie's doing
yeah. That was a great idea.
Automated system,
That was a cool idea.
Our accordionist, keyboard player Ronnie Biediger on the solo, Alan Elsesser on the guitar. I believe that was Bobby Ray, the late Bobby Ray, who was a great East LA saxophonist. Lived in San Antonio for a long time, passed away a couple of years ago. He was in the Hollywood Argyles, the band that did Alley Oop, great legendary East LA sax player. And Mike Davis, who played was on the trombone, also plays harmonica. So we're not using the horns right now because of the pandemic, but we'll get them. We'll get them back. But yeah, that's so there are other songs like that you don't know. We've done horrible things to, songs that the composers never. Arrangements that composers may or may not have thought of. But that's one that's ended up being the hit of the Gloria Chords gospel CD. And that one got.
We have the CD. It's a great CD.
Talking Taco label, which was a San Antonio label, but they released that as part of a compilation, and that got the most downloads. We would get these, in places like Finland,
yeah.
So it was popular. I'm thinking, well, okay.
So your stuff is available for download. I know you do a lot of CDs at your live
I'm
shows.
Not sure. I really don't know. This is the first time I've actually heard any of these for a long time, and I was surprised to see that whole album on YouTube. And I don't think I don't think any of this stuff is available anymore for download, but it is on YouTube, so feel free.
Well, the lockdown has been lifted here in Texas. When did you go back to playing live?
We went back, I think, 2 months ago.
A couple of months ago, okay.
We went back to playing Sundays at the Cove, and then we've done a couple other gigs, and then of course, just as the lockdown was being lifted, as you well know, then we had rain. So we had 2 or 3 gigs outdoor. Everything's going to outdoors. So we had 2 or 3 gigs rained out. Including with another band I play with, Brother Dave and the Bodio Blasters. Had some gigs rained out, but we're slowly getting back into it.
You still play Beethoven's too, Southtown?
We played Beethoven last Friday. Yeah.
Okay. I know you were doing Francis Bogside for a while. You still do that place too?
Yeah, well, Francis Bogside changed. Apparently, they changed their. I was doing that with the Bodio Blasters, which is the drummer and the guitar player from EARFOOD and the Tin Can Trio and me, and then this guy, great songwriter named David Rodriguez. And it's more like a San Antonio rock and roll band. But they changed their format, and this was just before the lockdown. So I don't know if they went mainly to DJs or what, So we're, but I'm playing Sancho's, Rooftop. Did that for the first time last Saturday, and that was That's interesting, hauling your gear up to the roof of the place. But,
the old days.
yeah. But it's fun after you get up there. But when you're 70 years old, of course we had,
Back in Liverpool years ago, it was like ice would be on the floor. January would be hauling speakers up, fire escapes.
Yeah, that's what you actually. That's what you get if you make any money at music. You well know it's like you get paid to haul that gear. Or like Ray Charles said to me in an interview one time, "Oh, I play the music for free. I get paid to travel." That's pretty good.
I've never been to Sancho's, but there's a friend of mine comes down to see me called Butch Moore. His son lives here in San Antonio. But he comes down, hangs out with me and gets up and plays. He just loves playing. This guy just loves playing. And last year, I was down at Maddie McMurphy's and he came in. And he came in, got up and done a few songs. So I finished the gig and we hung around till about 9 o'clock. It was an afternoon gig. It was 4 till 7 gigs. We hung around till about 9. And he goes, "Do you want to come up to Sancho's and play some more music?" I said, "I've got to get home, Butch." And he said, "Well, I'm going to play Sancho's." So he hauled his guitar and off he went. And I seen him the next day. He came back in again. And I said, "How was it there?" He said, "There was nobody there. I just walked in and said, 'Do you mind if I plug in?'" He said, "There's just one of them guys. That's what he likes doing, And he just plugged in, played there for the night. He just loves playing.
Yeah.
He's retired and he just hauls his little tail guitar around. He does gigs as well.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of it when you make. That's part of the beauty of making music when you can make musical friends, and it's and that you don't mind that. Like, if a guy comes in carrying, a bass saxophone or something, you may be a little skeptical, but, one song be okay.
It's great. It's like there's a guy I keep in touch with. Met him a few years ago at Waxy's, and I'm just setting up. It was a Monday night, and he goes, "I'm in the Majestic Theatre production show this week." He was doing the story in Motown, and he was in the band. He was with the travelling band. "Do you mind if I come in and jam with you tomorrow night?" I said, "After doing the theatre?" He said, "Yeah, I'm bored of the show. We're travelling all over America. I want to do something different." So he did the show, the Majestic, the musical. Comes over to Waxy's, gets himself a whiskey, plugs in, all week, plays with me. Came back a couple of years later. "You remember me? I'm in Hamilton now." Same thing.
Oh,
yeah, so he plays in Hamilton. This was a couple of years ago. And he brought the young girl in who plays violin. So she brings a violin over. She's in the show. And she gets up and we just played the whole week.
Well, that was, that kind of stuff. Several years ago, we were playing on the river at one of the hotels, a patio thing. And we had just seen this, and I'd done an interview with this classical harmonica player, Robert Bonfiglio. I mean, just a great harmonica player. And I had asked him, "Well, do you ever jam like with the band?" He said, "Well, a lot of the classical, he was doing like a pops concert at the Majestic." And so we went to see him, and I said, "You ever jam with the members of the orchestra?" He said, "Well, every once in a while, but not a lot because they don't swing, I mean, they're used to the." Well, he came out to see us at the Riverwalk and sat in with us, and then he came, which is now Sam's Burger Joint now, but it was Billy Blues at the time, and we were playing there. And he came in and sat in with us for like half the night, brought some people from the orchestra with him, And it's like, so when people say, "Well, the harmonica," I said, "Look, I played with the best harmonica player in the world, Robert Bonfiglio." So it's been, that's the kind of stuff that's just a delight when it works out.
It is. It's like this past week, I'd never been to Luckenbach, and I went with some friends, and I never go, when I'm not at the gig, if I'm visiting anywhere, I'm not the type to go, "Yeah, I'm a musician, do you mind if I get up and play?" That's not me, but my friend said, "This is Luckenbach. This is like legendary, historic Texas music venue." And I said, "Yeah, maybe I should get up and do one." So there was a couple of guys playing, and in the break, I had a chat with them. "Where are you from?" "At Liverpool." "Oh, the Beatles," all that business. And then I told him what I'd do, and he said, "Come on, get up and do a couple of songs with us." So he said, "Did you bring a guitar?" I said, "No." So they got one from behind the bar for me. They just took it from behind the bar. "There you go." We did about half an hour, and it was cool, to say.
Yeah. Well, and let me ask you this. Let me turn the tables on you. Like, being from Liverpool, that's like a passport, right? I mean, you say, "I'm from Liverpool," and I'm a musician, boom, is that instant entree to the?
Yeah, people do love it. I found over here, the Beatle thing straight away. I mean, I remember seeing McCartney at the Tobin Centre here. I seen him in Liverpool in 1990. When he came to Tobin Centre, I went. There was only 1,750 seats in there.
Right.
But yeah, I saw him in there, and it was a fantastic show. Born in the same hospital, Jim.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
Yeah. I don't know whether.
Like being from New Orleans for a musician, or,
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's got to open up some doors. You guys got to be good enough to walk through the door. That's what you are.
Actually, you should check out his new album. His new album's McCartney 3, because you'd appreciate it. It's a musician's album, really. He done McCartney 1 in 1970, McCartney 2 1980, and he's just done this one during lockdown. He played everything himself. It's one of them musicians' albums. There's no big hits on it or nothing. It's just him experimenting, really.
Well, he's got a lot of chops.
Yeah, I know. Still doing it. Yeah. Still doing it. Jim, we're going to play one more song, then come back.
Sounds good.
Talk us through this one. It's another live one with the Tin Can Trio. Boot That Thing.
Boot That Thing. That's a song by a woman named Bessie Tucker, and she worked in the Deep Ellum section of Dallas, which was a rough section of Dallas, and it was not much is known about her. She only recorded like 6 or 8 songs, and there's just not much out there about her. Like nothing was really known about her before, and nothing really known about her since. I've tried to find out more about her, but she just kind of disappeared into the mist. But this song, Boot That Thing, this is one of those that just had such a good driving beat, and I think I discovered it on a compilation of women blues singers album called Men Are Like Streetcars. Another one coming around every minute or something, and it has some well-known people on there. But this track really, when we're always looking at stuff, well, what'll fit Niese's voice? What will she sing? What would, and this is one that's become kind of a standard in our set. Boot That Thing. Bessie Tucker.
Let's hear it. Boot That Thing.
Yeah, boot that thing. Boot that thing. Oh, better stay home. Learn how to boot that thing. Little red rooster, big fat hen. Had a buck this morning saying he ain't no kid. Gonna boot that thing. Boot that thing. Yeah, boot that thing. Boot that thing. Oh, better stay home. Learn how to boot that thing. All right, Alan. That thing. Boot that thing. Yeah, boot that thing. Boot that thing. Oh, better stay home. Learn how to boot that thing. Old Aunt Donna, she's sick in bed. She called for the doctor, and the doctor said, you gotta boot that thing. Boot that thing. Yeah, boot that thing. Oh, better stay home. Learn how to boot that thing. All right, Alan, show 'em again. Check it out, guys.
Boot that thing.
Boot that thing. And I think there's Alan Elsesser on the National Rezo Rocket. And when I was picking out some songs to send to you, I think I believe that's the first time he ever played that guitar standing up.
Really?
It's a metal body guitar and it weighs a ton and it's loud. I love the metal body, but they're such that you spend a certain amount of money on these. You don't want to poke holes in them for straps. They don't really come with it. So
Absolutely.
I don't know, tied up with a regimental tie or something. So it's like, and Ollie, the drummer, playing a cocktail kit that he built. That's the beauty of that band. Everything's all metal, and Neesie plays the rub board, and I play a resonator bass. In that, so there's a lot of racket,
Yeah.
That's why it's called the Tin
But such a
Can.
tight band. It's a really tight unit.
It's fun. Well, we've been playing together a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
You get, how it is. You get people that you're sympathetic with. The guy was sitting in with us one time. He said, "You and Ollie, the drummer, said y'all never even look at each other." And I said, "Well, if you make a mistake, we're going to look at each other. Then we're both going to look at you." But we've been playing together for 30 years. It's like if you have with all of these people, a lot of us grew up together, so you have the luxury of playing with the same people. And that's why, to me, I love rehearsing with the band. I love playing with the same people. And we get along pretty well because we don't really hang out together much outside the band.
Right.
So, but has their own life, and then we get together and make music, but everybody's got everybody else's back. That's the beauty of a band, a real band.
Jim, it's been a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Great, man, and this is a great, and kudos to Expat Radio for doing this, man. This is very cool radio.
As I said, it's great to be on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
And talk to you and listen to your great stories.
Well, I don't have a problem talking about myself. It's been great fun.
I'm going to bring the family down to one of your gigs. We're probably going to come and see it at the Cove.
Come
Jim,
out.
been a pleasure. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Jim.
Joe, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Jim Beal, everybody.